Hello friends, grab a snack or coffee because this video will probably a little bit longer because I'm going to discuss a big collection. I will talk you through the Electrum Cosmetics Midnight Moth collection that consists of a 12-pan eyeshadow palette, 3 flakes and then 13 eyeshadows. And I will of course show you all the looks I've been creating with the products and all the swatches and all my talks about everything. So I did receive this collection in PR from the brand on launch day. It was super stressful because I wanted to make sure that my swatches did go out before the launch, but it was practically impossible since my camera died and my computer died, so I had to charge everything and edit the clips of the swatches and all of that. But I finally made it and posted it later during the night. And some of my followers on Instagram told me that the swatches was very helpful, so I'm glad that I managed to do that and help some people. But this video is meant to be a more informative video where I'm showing you swatches in different angles and lightings. Then I will tell you my thoughts about everything. Let's roll the clips of the swatches. And now I will show you the looks I have been creating with all of the products, and I'm happy to report that I was able to use all of the products, but my eyes are tired. I will tell you that because it is a huge collection and I wanted to post this video as soon as possible, since the collection is only open up for pre-order until the end of the week. But anyhow, it was totally worth it because now I know how everything is performing and I can tell you my thoughts about it. I will now roll the clips of all the looks I have been creating with both the palettes, the single shades and the flakes. Let's start to talk about the palette that is the star of the show. It consists of 12 beautiful shades, it has 6 shimmers and 6 mattes. The palette has 5 multichromes, 1 holochrome and 6 mattes. And I think that's the perfect ratio between mattes and shimmers because it gives you a lot of different options. The palette has a big nice mirror and the pans are removable and magnetic, which I find really nice. The packaging is really cute, I really enjoy the artwork, it's really pretty. It doesn't feel cheap in the hands and I really like the quality of the Electrum Cosmetics palettes when it comes to the actual packaging. When it comes to the color story, you probably already know that I'm a huge fan because I'm probably the most grungiest person you will ever meet. I love everything that has to do with those murky tones and yes, it's just perfection in my opinion. The dark mattes in combination with the very dimensional and sparkly and shifty multichromes is just such a dream, and it gives you so many different options for what you can do. You can layer the shades and just do a lot of fun things with this color story. Another thing that I really enjoy with this color story is that you have the option to go more monochromatic or neutral if you want to, if you use the more murky tones or mauve tones. My initial reaction when I saw this color story was like, wow, it's really stunning, but is it really good for summer? Because when I think about summer, I think more about brighter and fun colors. But I have to say that I'm really impressed with this color story and I will rock it all summer, I can tell you that. I think that the reason why this palette doesn't feel off for being a summer release is because the shimmers are so bright and sparkly and it really gives you those late summer night vibes, which I really love. Since it's a pre-order, the palettes won't ship until July 29th, which means that you will receive them in August, and therefore it's very close to autumn, and I think that it still will be a great fall palette and you can probably use this palette all year around, which I think is great. I got some questions regarding the matte formula in this palette, and I have used the Electrum mattes before, so I wanted to compare them, and I came to the conclusion that the mattes are slightly different, but they are still similar to the old formula that you can find in, for example, the Sea Witch palette. The formula in the Midnight Moth palette reminds me of Natasha Denona's more creamy formula, but with that being said, it's only how it looks and performs on the eyes, not when you swatch it, because the formula when you swatch it is really dry, so it's not similar to the touch, so to say. The reason to why I tell you that there is some resemblance with the Natasha Denona cream to powder formula is because the result is really similar on the eyes, because when you apply those mattes on the lid, they are often more lighter than they are in the pan, and I personally don't have any problem with this. I think it's a nice formula, to be honest, and I like to work with it, but it gives you a more softer look, if that makes sense. With that being said, you can still build up the formula and you can layer them, and it's just a really nice formula to work with, in my opinion. But I still wanted to point it out, since I know that some people really want a wow pigment instantly when they apply eyeshadows on the eyes, but that's not the case with the Electrum mattes, at least not in this formula and my former experience with the brand. I would also say that the mattes are more firmly pressed in the Midnight Moth palette compared to the Sea Witch palette, which has some kick gaps, I would say. But I like both formulas, and I think that if you have liked the mattes in the Sea Witch palette, you will probably enjoy the mattes in the Midnight Moth palette too. Electrum has some of my favorite shimmers. They are very dimensional, they are very sparkly and beautiful. But what's different with this formula compared to a lot of other brands is that it's quite dry to the touch. And when I first touched it, I was not sure if I would like it, but I have found that I really enjoy this kind of drier formula. It's quite similar to the Shine by Esty formula that also is drier to the touch, but they are super sparkly. And I think it has to do with the fact that they are so dry to the touch, because it brings out all the sparkle and glitter in them. This also means that it's extra important that you actually use glitter glue when you use those kinds of shimmers, because otherwise you will end up with a sparkly mess on your face. I'm not against that, but most people don't want that, you know. I feel like the selection of shimmers is really well thought out. None of the shades are similar to each other, and it's just a very nice selection of shimmers. And I really love the holochrome shades. It's on the more neutral shades, but it's super unique. It has some kind of fiery orange sparkles in it, and yeah, it's just such a cool shade that you almost need to see in person to understand how good it is. Since my lids aren't oily, I can't speak for if the eyeshadows are going to crease on the lids or not, but if I'm going to guess, I think that this formula is great for oily lids since it's so dry to the touch. But if you have oily lids and have tried the Electrum formula, please let me know how you feel about this formula on your lids and if they crease on you, so I know for further reference. All in all, I have nothing bad to say about this palette. I have had a blast creating looks with it, and I know that I will reach for it a lot. The only downside I have to say is that the pre-order is only up for a couple of more days before it goes down, and we don't know if it will restock or not, but I'm voting for it to restock because I feel like a lot of people will be sad if they are going to miss out on this beautiful palette. And now I will talk a little bit about the single shadow collection that consists of 12 shades plus one kaleidoscope shade. So this 12-piece multichrome bundle consists of 12 shades obviously, and it has a lot of interesting and unique shades. I will not go through every shade, but I will talk about the standout shades, I would say. There is no doubt that the owner of Electrum is a huge fan of purple, because we can almost see purple in every release she has. I think she always has a lot of purple in her releases, and I don't mind that. I love purple personally, so it's just an observation I have had. This collection is no exception for that. It is a couple of purple leaning shades, but also some pink leaning shades, and also some super exciting neutrals. During the pre-order week you can purchase the whole bundle for $170, but after that they will only be sold separately, so you know that. This bundle has 3 stunning holochromes. I really love the Electrum holochromes because they are super intense, and they might be my favorite holochrome formula that I have in my whole collection, because they are so intense and they actually show up on the lids, which isn't always the case with holographic shades. Then we have about 4 or 5 different neutral shades that are super exciting because they are so unique. I actually have to say that some of those neutral shades are my top picks from this whole collection because they are so stunning, so stunning. And then I would say that the rest are purple leaning shades, but they maybe have a different shift, so they doesn't look that purple on the lids or in the swatches, but nonetheless they are all super stunning. I feel like the formula is quite consistent in this whole bundle. The holographic shades are like the holographic shades that Electrum usually offers. But then there is a more flaky shade called Dusk. And this one I would say is easier to apply with your fingers, because when you use a brush it can be a little bit messy. And the same goes for the Kaleidoscope shade that is excluded from this bundle. You need to use your fingers with it. And I have to say that when I first swatched the Kaleidoscope shade on my arm, I wasn't particularly interested in it, but when I used it on my eyes, I finally understood the hype about it, because it's so dimensional. You can see so many different colors and it's just stunning. So don't sleep on that one. And it also looks super cute in the pan, which is a plus. I wouldn't say that there is any duds in this collection. I would rather say that this is probably the best collection that Electrum has come out with yet. But I will still say that there is some shades that I'm leaning more towards than others. I would say that you should pick the shades that you are the most interested in. I don't personally feel like the shades are too similar to own the whole collection. Some of the neutral shades is maybe slightly too similar for some people, but I am glad to own them all. When it comes to flakes, they are super fun. They are really bright and bold and intense, like flakes usually are, but those colors are really interesting and fun. Especially the yellow shade called Ember is really multi-dimensional and reflective on the lids. I really enjoy that shade. It's a perfect summer shade. Those flakes are a little bit less finely milled compared to other flakes that I have in my collection, which gives you a more, I don't know what to describe it. It gives you a more intense effect, but you can of course spread them evenly on the lids and get a more smooth effect if you want to too. But it requires that you apply them in a little bit differently. All in all, I'm pleasantly surprised by this whole collection. I have had a blast using everything and I can't wait to use it some more. Now I'm super curious to know what you did pick up or what you are thinking about picking up, and consider to subscribe if you're into indie makeup, colorful makeup, or just want to see me. Have a great day and see you soon. Bye bye! I can barely look right now. The rest of my life. Fiery, most likely. Me kodde!